All right, so it is a new year. I noticed already, guys, who's already been to the gym every day this year? Who's hit the gym every day? I know Will's in the gym every day. John's gonna get back on this thing here. Okay. And guys, going to the gym, besides your physical body, your body is a mirror to a lot of things that's going on with your life. But 100%, one of the things I'll say is people talk about all the people that come to the gym the first year. I haven't seen it yet. Maybe your gym's packed, but I haven't seen people already get going. I think a lot of times people get the first week right now, then they kind of get to their goals. If you're planning January now, you guys already know you're behind, and I don't think anybody here is in that position. You might be detailing some stuff, but I listed out the kind of top 10 problems that the typical martial arts school goes through as a cycle, constantly trying to solve these problems. So I'm going to go through these here, and then I've got some of you guys who are kind of next tier, the issues that I struggle with as an operator. Okay, so and you tell me if I'm missing one. Okay, but the top 10 issues we face. Okay, attracting new students or getting new students. There's not a problem inside the martial arts universe that you can't fix with just signing up a bunch of new students. You sign up 20 new students today, you're going to fix a lot of problems. Okay, so attracting new students, retention. How do we keep them? Right. Cash flow. A lot of times you guys have enough money that you're making, but it's just the flow of how to use it properly. Overhead pressure, right? Your rent's going up, cost of goods are going up. Lack of systems. Systems is a word we use too much, but you have a system for how to run a class, maybe, or for belt testing, maybe for your marketing, but you're not fully locked in where you're not the bottleneck. Okay. Staff, staff. Some of you guys have a staff, but you need more. Some of you guys don't have a staff, you need some. Some of you guys have a staff, and you need better. There's just challenges with staff, okay? And by the way, when I say staffing challenges, it's just a people challenge. I will tell you, over the years, I've had a lot of great people work with me and for me, but people, right? Sometimes we have no problem with them as a team member, but stuff happens in their personal life and it affects their professional life, things like that. It's just people, right? Competition. Competition could be the other Christ school down the road, the bigger version of what you're doing. Maybe they've got more money, maybe they've been in business longer. But also competition could just be what you're competing against, which is people's attention. Could be a device right now, okay? Um, this is the one I struggle with for so long, probably for 10 years too long. Emotional decision making. If you ever go to the grocery store hungry, anybody ever done that? You go to the grocery store hungry, you make the worst decisions about what you're buying. Okay. I went the other day and I'm like, I don't even buy junk food, but I was just in the mood and I don't know what the hell we were buying. Just everything looked great. Well, I've done this in my business way too long, right? Like make emotional decisions just because where I was at emotionally, maybe in my personal life or some struggle, and making decisions that affect that. Burnout. People talk about this with me all the time, right? They feel like they're working too many hours and they're burning out. And then just maintaining what your standards are. So those are kind of a top 10 list of things that based on conversations that one, issues that I've dealt with, but two, conversations I have with people all the time with inside the martial arts business. Now, next level for you guys who've got most of those figured out. Okay. Maybe you don't have all of them figured out, but you've got most of those figured out. Here's some of the ones I struggle with beyond that. Okay. Boredom. My schools are doing good. My staff's kicking ass. We've got students. We've got systems. We've got skill. I'm just bored. Okay. Anybody ever been there? You like things are going good and you're just like bored. And for me, when I'm bored, I go break something, all right, that's not broken. I go tweak something, work on it. I go make a problem because I'm used to solving problems. So I'm just bored. Okay. And I don't really know what to go do with this time and energy. So then I just go be destructive. That's not the right way to handle that. Okay. But that's an issue that I face. The next one is a lot of times just what is the next rendition? The only reason I open multiple schools, guys, is because, well, not the only reason, but one of the first reasons, the first time I did it and failed, is because what do you do when you have success? Well, you do just more of it, right? Okay. I've got one successful school. I've got that figured out, making money. What's next? Well, everyone else is bragging about they have two schools. Cool, let's do two schools. They got three schools. Cool, let's do that. That's not the right reason to do it, okay, for other people's opinion of me. And that's why I probably didn't work the first time around. Okay. So like what is the next goal? And then the next thing is well, then let's go do some other business, right? Like this is working really good. Okay. Like I don't really want to do more martial arts schools. Let's go do something else. And it's just because I didn't know and understand my opportunities in front of you. Guys, if you're a martial arts teacher on this call right now, working for a school owner, you know, a lot of times you're confused about what's the next thing for you, and you don't know how to ask the person that you work for what's next. And so when you don't ask questions, your brain doesn't go to all the opportunities and positive, it goes to negativity. It's how we're wired. We're wired for survival. And so just because of a lack of conversation, I personally lost good instructors who would leave me to go open their own school because I didn't create a platform for them, and I didn't have a communication tool for them to know how to communicate back to me about they wanted just more opportunity. And all of them end up failing, and some I hired back. Okay. I don't hold a grudge against people like that. Like that was my fault the way I saw it. I didn't create a platform for them. So if you're teaching for somebody right now and you feel like you are capable of doing more, 100% you need to open up the conversation and say, hey, I want to be an asset. I want to build something with you. I'd rather be the number two man than be the number one guy, right? Like 100%. Like if Josh would hire me and I could come work under him, I could help push his mission so much further because I wouldn't have the burden or the weight of doing all the things it takes with owning something, hiring and firing and training and vision casting and thinking like all these things, and then also having to be a technical person sometimes in your business. So if you guys are in that position right now, you're on this call, first of all, just recognize you guys are in an amazing opportunity. If you're in the martial arts space right now and you want to do this as a career path, 1000%. I was talking to my son this morning. I was like, he's got so many opportunities in front of him. Sometimes that could be a curse a little bit. You got too many opportunities and you feel like you have indecision. Just understand, guys, like you have such an amazing opportunity. First thing is recognizing, and two, you got to communicate. If you feel like you want more challenge or you need more education, you've got the person right there that's letting you be on a call like this. You've got the resource. You got to have that conversation. Okay. So if those are our issues, how do we solve these problems? What I'm asking you guys to do is do a little bit of an audit right now. Where are you at in your business? I'm going to give you a call to action at this to actually do a little homework. But where are you in your business? Either if I'm the instructor, where am I in my role? Going through making sure these systems are solved to the level that they're not a problem forever, temporary at best. All right. So one, okay, if we got to get new students and got to keep our students, it's a pretty simple game. That's going to come down to marketing. It's going to come down to sales. It's going to come down to having amazing classes. Okay. So I'm going to start with the first thing is making sure that we have a great instruction system. Yesterday, I did a call with one of the schools and their team, and we talked about how do we simplify our class plans and then simplify our curriculum so we can have a high quality product. You have to pick your version right now. Am I going to be Walmart, plan for lots of people and simple and low cost, low tier? That is a strategy that works always. Do I want to go mid-tier, be more like a Target? Okay, a little bit more pricey, less people, okay, little bit more bougie, or do I want to go extreme high level, more boutique? You have to kind of pick a version of how you want your school to be, which would determine your curriculum. If I'm going to go to the masses, then I have to have something that is easier to reproduce. I'm not asking you guys to water anything down. I'm just making sure it's simple enough that if I go put someone on the floor to teach class, that I don't need a 30-year veteran if I'm going to go for the masses. Okay. All three of those tiers will work for making money, but you got to just make sure that you're not trying to do part of this one and part of this one because that's where it creates confusion. So here's some of the issues that we have as a problem is when I watch classes, guys. Your classes can feel different based on the instruction. Landing teaches a class, I could teach a class. We're in the same school, we have the same class plans, and it's not personality difference. We're talking about the level of instruction is different. That's not good, okay? Students lose momentum or they don't even know where they are in their progress. If a student doesn't know if they're progressing, you have to show people and tell them they're progressing. Their belt is one part of that. But last night when we role played with the kids that are in our leadership program about, do the PCP sandwich, John's favorite thing to do with people, okay? You can't praise somebody that's just bullshit, fake. You can't lie to someone. I can't go to John, John, I love your hair today. All right. And he's like, what hair are you talking about? I got the Aaron haircut. And then I correct him on a technique. All right. He knows I'm not being sincere with him. So students, if they don't know they're making progress because you're not telling them, you're not showing them, and you're just letting the belt be that, that creates confusion. And I already told you, when people are confused, they're in their head, they're not thinking a positive thought. Okay. Uh, and then here's the next issue. Owners are constantly have to step in back on the floor to fix the problem on the instruction. I did this for probably a decade. I'd hire an instructor, train them, that everything was good. They're on the floor teaching. I see belt testing 3 months later and everything went to shit. And I would step back on the floor and solve it. Every time you do that, my guys who do that, you undermine their ability to grow and you create the ability for them to understand they're never going to be as good as you. They're in their head. They won't communicate this with you. And then because of this, they start losing confidence and they actually don't perform better, right? They start performing worse. Okay. So how do we make sure we standardize our teaching? A couple things that when I say standardize, you want to make this your, like I said, a standard is not your target, it's your minimum, right? So one, do you have a consistent class format? I think a lot of you guys already have this, right? Who's got a consistent structure to your class? You start class and end class pretty consistently. You want to be familiar. If I come take a class for 3 weeks in a row, the class structure should be familiar, even if it is different in some ways. What do I mean? Your lineup, if you start lineup in a bow, a lot of you guys start that way, you do a student creed or whatever you do at the beginning, you could change the formatting of what direction you face, but the format of the class is still the same. You should make it feel fresh, okay? But not so much where as a student, I'm confused about what's happening. If I'm constantly confused about, I don't even know where to grab my attendance card or how do I check in, if it's new every time, that's not good. You want it to be familiar and fresh, right? But you want a consistent class format. Defined ability for people to track their skill progression, particularly as a parent. If you're a dad of a kid in your program, how do I know my son is getting better outside of just when it's belt testing time? Do you do student teacher conferences? All right. Do you have some kind of structure where you send people notes? Right now, these are postcards that are going out today from last night's classes where we literally are writing people notes exactly about progress they're seeing. All right. Most of you guys, when you get mail, it's all negative stuff, bills, etc., junk, right? Old school, instead of sending somebody a text, sending them a postcard. And not being vague, being very specific. Okay. What level of accountability do you have for letting parents and students know they're making progress? I was reviewing Josh's playbook that he uses for his staff, and it's interesting how we use a lot of the same tools, but sometimes terminology can be different. But one of the things is your coaching language. What anchors do you use that are across the board? If Kaya, who's about to be 18, steps in my school and knows my anchors, she could step on the floor and teach a class, even if she didn't know my curriculum, but uses the language, the anchors, the structure, automatically she would get a response. So do you have these built in? And if you do, how well does all your team know these? Very important. Okay. And so then your start of your class, your end of your class, how you book in should be a format and how you communicate whatever your announcements or promotions you have. And there's a difference between announcing something and promoting something. Owners, if you haven't role played announcements and promotions in recent time, that'd be one of the first things I would work on at the beginning of the year. Just very simple, how you end out of class and communicate to the parents. A young instructor struggles a lot of times with having the confidence from teaching a kid, then turning to the parent audience and pull them into a conversation and keeping it uh, precise, okay, keeping it concise as well, without going into this big presentation and then running class over. Also, instructors, if you're just now pulling the parents into the conversation at the end of class, that could be a sign that your challenge as an instructor to be high level. You're so locked in on the kids, you forget that the audience is part of your class as well too. You need to always be aware who's on their phone and who's locked in with what you're teaching. Okay. Okay. Instructor. Now own it right now. Your responsibility is to deliver an experience, not a class. When people go to Disney and overpay, anybody ever taken your kids to Disney? Right? Anybody like you? I don't know. Listen, there's no cheap way to do it. There's no cheap way. Stay on property. Stay on property. One of my students that lives here is flying tonight on a red eye to go to Orlando. I'm like, Disney's in California. You could go there, but they're going to go to Orlando. They're going to be there with family, and they're staying on property, one of these new resorts. And like, I didn't even ask, but I could tell mom's the way she was communicating, like this, it's not an inexpensive trip. Okay. Um, why do people do that? It's an experience. Matter of fact, think about anybody know what Disney communicates about what do they say Disney is? Okay. They call it the happiest place on earth. Now, I'm not sure if it's the happiest place on earth, but they've marketed themselves that way that we all know that slang. Matter of fact, I know whoever wins the Super Bowl this year, okay, it won't be Patrick this year, but whoever wins the Super Bowl, the quarterback, the quarterback, we all know what the quarterback's going to do that wins the Super Bowl. Everybody knows, right? He's going to get recorded saying, I'm going to Disney World. All right. It's a built-in thing. Think about that marketing strategy. Now they get paid for that. And I forgot what last time it was like 750 or whatever it was. Pretty good payday just to say that one line. And then they get a trip to take their family there to Disney. But they've created this idea and marketed themselves so well because of the experience and the expectations. Instructors, not the owner, the instructor, whoever's teaching class, it is your job, responsibility, your obligation to create an experience every single class, not the first class of the day, not the third class of the day, not the fifth class, every class. It is unfair and unprofessional for you to lock in on that first class and have all this energy and all this movement and momentum you have. And by the fourth class, because you're tired and you have 4 hours onto the job day of actually executing what your role and responsibility is, for them to get a different experience. It also is unethical for you to teach 3 kids because you're not really hyped for 3 kids. I'm not hyped for 3 kids. And to kind of mail it in, but when you got 30 on the next class, you go all in for it. You're not being respectful to your gift. You're not being respectful to those students either. It is your responsibility or obligation to create an experience every single class. So the challenge is right now, if you are buying a ticket to your show to witness your class, you're the dad, you're the mom, the kids on the floor, are you earning what you guys charge? Or what you're supposed to do is over deliver on the experience. So it feels like I, as the dad right now, I'm taking advantage of this experience because I'm underpaying you. That is your responsibility. And then the challenge is how well do you go acquire the skills so you can be world class at it, right? If Kaya is going to be, she's 18, wants a career in this, if she can deliver an experience consistently over and over again and it's constantly pushing herself up to acquire more skills, better communication tools, she's able to communicate to the parents, she knows how to do announcements, promotions, she runs a rock star class, she makes sure that people are making progress, people are leaving sweating and smiling every single time, the experience is high level, her value to the company, boom. Okay, if she's a stock, you always buy into her. But if she's teaching class and it's inconsistent, you don't know if it's going to be a high level class, low level class. You can't predict how it's going to be. The outcome is inconsistent. We don't know. I have to tell her constantly about calling students that miss class. The issue is she becomes just an employee. She's not a transformation expert at that level, which is really what the game of martial arts is. Okay. And owners, I would say that the one thing that I did not put in place soon enough, and this is why I became bored a lot of times and then would do stuff that was destructive to my business because I wasn't putting a system and documenting what was working consistently enough. What I was doing a lot of times is I was present with maybe one instructor at a time. I wasn't creating a structure that was duplicatable, one, and then I would sometimes make it either too simple or too complicated because I was basically emotionally making decisions based on the employee I was working with at the time. This person couldn't handle some of the stuff, so I watered it down too easy. This next person now is feeling like it's not enough. And so I would say that building and documenting a system and a structure where you're constantly, that is your homework, that is your job, is make sure that you're making the tools better for your team so they can have a better, more consistent experience and a higher level experience. If we can do this, then we solve the problem of one, retention, two, sales become easier because people see the product and the transformation, right? The reason why I put instruction as a system first and not sales, your business will live and die by how many sales you make. But most of us love working with the people. That's what our heart is in. And if that's not correct, you're probably not going to enjoy the process of selling your memberships. And your number one actual business you're in is the marketing and selling of martial arts memberships, not teaching classes. Teaching classes is the technical aspect. It's this what we do, but we have to make sure that we have students coming in. Otherwise, we don't even have those classes. But the reality is, most of you guys, if your classes are inconsistent, the experience is low, you're not going to enjoy it. You're going to get in a rut, and you're going to be sitting at a table here behind me, and I'm going to be able to meet you for the first time and have a conversation with you and know exactly where you've been because I've been there. I've been in that rut because I just felt like I couldn't get out of my own way. I stopped loving teaching. I love teaching now, and I have for the past 10 years. I can't wait to help people. All right. All right. I'm going to go faster on the next ones here, guys. Sales. Okay, so here's the challenges that I'm hearing from you guys. One, your leads are inconsistent. A lot of them are coming from social media. A lot of them are not strong leads. Okay. Um, but so what I mean is they're coming in and they don't convert, right? They're weak leads because they're coming in mostly from social media platforms, from your advertising. Next issue that I hear from you guys, you're hearing a lot of, well, we need to think about it, right? And we've done a lot of role playing on this, but if you're hearing that, all right, it's a telltale sign that there's a problem in your funnel of how you create the conversation. Enrollments drop when the owner is not present, meaning the energy source, the owner or whoever's the top person is away. They're at the other location. They're not there day to day. Enrollments are dropping. Okay. That means you have a system that is too dependent upon an energy source and not really a true system that works regardless of who's there. And then you're not able to predict enrollment, aka cash flow. So those are the issues that I see with enrolling new students that based on the conversations we're having. Okay. And so you guys are doing advertising, you're doing marketing. A lot of times it's inconsistent and the results are inconsistent. Okay. So one, how do we fix this? You need a sales and enrollment structure that is consistent, okay, trained, and then an accountability structure. If you guys were in Vegas in December, we went over the three ways that we have that I use for enrollments. We do one-on-one enrollments. We have a process. We do group enrollments. Mass intro is the term that we use inside the industry. Okay. And then we have we'll call it a VIP opportunity, right? When you give away 2 weeks free, 4 weeks free, you give away something to attract attention. That's the three ways we enroll people. The reason, are there more ways? Absolutely. Can I change and alter any of those? Sure. The reason why I keep it three, again, I take an 18-year-old, I hire Kaya, put her in my school, I teach her three ways, simple. She can't go off course. These are the three ways to sign people up. Do you have a system and a structure that if I walked in, how fast can I learn? Going back to Disney, guys, how do you get a job at Disney? If you're going to be working in the park and anywhere in the park, they give you 3 days to learn the script for the show that you're going to be in. If you can't learn it in 3 days, you lose your job. If I give you my intro script, can you master it in 3 days? So that was always my policy. When you were hired to be a sales manager, a program director, you had to be able to conduct a lesson one introductory program. You had to be able to do the lesson within 3 days. And you weren't hired until you could. So you're on a temporary hire process for 90 days. You had 3 days to learn our script and be able to perform it. Now, here's what I did as a challenge. Most of those people I hired for sales did not have high-level martial arts experience. I have an interview tomorrow with someone who has no martial arts experience. He's 18 years old. I will give him 3 days to learn the script, and that would determine if I hire him or not. If I want the job, everyone should remember this line. If they do not work hard to get the job, they will not work hard when they have the job. If someone's not willing to dedicate their own time to learn a script that's on a couple pages and rehearse it and role play it. Last night in class, a couple of the kids are having a hard time with push-ups. I say, guys, listen, for the whole year, what year is this? 2026? You roll out of bed before you pee in the morning, before you go to school, drop down, do 26 push-ups the whole year. Discipline, consistency, it changes the game of everything in life. Discipline is the key ingredient. Now, I know most of them probably already missed this morning. Okay. But if they do that, I know they'll be stronger. And I says, guys, listen, I won't even have to ask you if you're doing this. I'll be able to see it. And I asked them, how will I be able to see if you're doing these push-ups every day? Well, when we drop down to 30 in class, the person who got done really fast, oh, you've been working your push-ups. When I would bring someone in to do their intro presentation in front of me, and they said, oh, yeah, I've studied all 3 days. I've got this down. I'm ready to go. Let's go. And they still have to hold a piece of paper up because I let them have open book with this. I let them go back to the paper I gave them because it's about 4 pages total, front and back. And I even have note cards to give them for training. I let them be able to review that if they get lost. I don't need them verbatim perfect, but I need to know that they put in the effort. And I never have to ask how much they studied. No matter what they told me, it showed in the result. When they come up there and they have confidence, even with no martial arts experience, they go, hey, Mrs. Johnson, have you heard that martial arts is good for the body and for the mind? And they go through the script and they can deliver it because you're just acting in that moment. If they tell me they've practiced and they go up there and they literally can't even remember the first line or they get lost. Again, last night, we're coming back from break. I had some of the students in the class. All right, guys, you're going to lead the student creed. Go. And they're like, and they couldn't remember. These are black belt students, not low-level white belts. These are black belt students. That means they've been enabled, not held accountable long enough. So same thing here, okay? So again, you need a sales and enrollment system that is trained. Okay, one, you need a system. Two, it needs to be trained, and it needs to be role played. Oh, and instructors, even if you don't do the sales, you should know this too. All right, it makes you more valuable. All right, next. Actually, I'm gonna stay on this. On the hub, guys, if you go to learn.risefromwhere.com, I posted yesterday a graphic. And some of you guys have a different business structure. So of course, you could take this and kind of apply to it. Has anybody seen this graphic yet? Has anybody checked it out yet? If not, go check it out. And I'll give you kind of a easy process. Here's what I did, guys, is in cities, I had 3 cities where I had 6 locations. So in those, when I say cities, within a certain radius, in those locations, 6 schools, I had not one general manager, I had 2. One, and those 2 people had equal power and they reported directly to me. One person was fully responsible for the sales department. They train, retrain the sales and marketing people, our program directors. Another person was our chief instructor for those schools. That person was making sure that the instructors knew their curriculum, they did their physical training, they were in charge of making sure that the the technical aspect of our product was sound. All right. Now, those 2 people, they were the general managers together. Okay. Under them, they ran the team. And so the only people eventually at this scale that I was teaching and coaching was those 2 people at the top because they had full responsibility. They had a very low salary, but super high upside because they were paid from all 6 locations because those schools, if they were successful, it was based on their work, right? How well they could apply that. Now, I built a structure and a system that gave me the opportunity to grow and scale. So on the structure, you'll see that it will say a team lead. All right. Now, when you have one school, that team lead is one of the 2 people in your school. So let's say I'm running a school right now. All right. If me and Crystal are running a school together and I'm going to be the sales manager and Crystal's going to be the instructor. Well, one of us needs kind of the vision, the direction, and the focus. So it doesn't matter if it's the instructor or the salesperson, but one person's got to kind of be in charge. All right. So if that was me in this scenario, and I'm the person writing out the vision, I'm making sure the plan for marketing for classes, and Crystal's going to be my instructor, she needs to own the floor. She's got to own that role. All right. But I've got to make sure I'm providing the tools for that. And then if I'm going to be the team lead and the sales program director and the manager here of that, I've got to make sure we got students coming in. And so if when you see that graphic, it's designed where there can be scale built in it based on if you go to multiple locations and where you might need people. And it's super simple. One person can run a school, two people can run a school, five people can run a school. But the more people you have, a lot of times people just assume everyone's going to do the responsibilities. And I listed under there, very simple, what the baseline responsibilities are. At the very bottom, what everyone's responsible for. I'm just showing you this because if I walk into your business today, let's say Will hires me today, if he's hiring me to teach, like how simple is it for me to understand what's victory for me? If I just do these baseline things, some of you guys have that. Some of you guys have an idea of what that is. All right. You should be able to hire me as your teacher and say, Aaron, if you just do these 7 things, these 10 things every day, we win. If you don't have it that clear, and the reason why some of you guys don't is because it's just you and one other person running your school right now, or just you. And so you think, oh, I don't need to do that because I don't have someone yet. If you wait until you have that person to go get ready for that person, you're not ever going to get that person. So again, documenting what makes you work the best when you're teaching classes. So when you do hire someone, you know who you're looking for. I probably talked about this in one of the other calls the other day, but the person that I'm bringing in tomorrow, 18 years old, working 4 jobs to take care of his family right now, making very little money because he's getting as many hours as he can, these part-time gigs. But I was so impressed about his experience he gave me and my son going to a little fast food place that I was so impressed. But I know the personality and the person I'm looking for the role that I'm hiring. He's the perfect fit for sales and marketing. He just needs the tools. All right. So hire for attitude, train for skill. Well, he's got the skills actually that I need, and he's got the attitude. He doesn't have the format. But if I didn't know who I was looking for, that person might already be in front of me and I don't know where to find them. Okay. All right. I'm going to pause here. Here's my homework for you guys. Okay. I'm going to use the word ownership. And a lot of times people, when they hear the word ownership, they think of equity. What I really mean by the word ownership is when you blame someone else. If I work for you right now and I'm teaching class and my sales manager we're supposed to be partners in the school, is not signing up enough people and I'm blaming that person, as soon as you do that, you take away the ability for you to solve the problem. I gave up my authority. I gave up my power. If I blame, my girlfriend for something that happened, I gave away the power and the authority for me to solve the issue. When I take ownership, when I automatically walk into a challenge and say, all right, where is it that I can create an opportunity to make it better? Right? I take ownership of something instead of blaming someone else, pointing the finger. Right? What's the old adage? You point one finger, you got 3 back at you. When I take ownership of something, I now have the authority and the ability to solve it or make it better. Again, my responsibility is to create a high level experience. Well, I've got to be able to make a decision. I've got to be able to make a decision before I get to that point of what I'm going to do when those problems happen. For example, and I said this morning on a post, and I'm going to say it really simple here. If I'm making my decision when my alarm goes off in the morning, if I'm going to get up and go work out or not, more times than not, your body and your mind's going to make the decision to go to comfort, to go to easy. If I make the decision the day before, when my alarm goes off, this is what I'm doing, decision's made, I don't negotiate in the moment, I'm prepared for success. So if I'm an instructor right now, you're on this call, you're teaching for someone here, you have to make a decision how you're handling the hard stuff with a student, with a parent, before it actually happens. And if you don't have those tools yet, well, then you have to be mature enough to say, hey, I need some help. Go to the person above you. Go to find someone else. All right. If you're a salesperson and you don't have enough leads, or they're not high quality leads, or you're not converting, or you're dropping the ball somewhere, you have to take ownership of where you're weak and say, hey, I'm not good at this yet. And you draw a line in the sand and you don't just keep repeating the same year over and over again. All right. Guys, listen, how many guys here are closer to 50 than you are 40? Anybody here closer to 50 than you are 40? Some of you guys are still young here, okay? Some of you guys are probably already past that. All right. Some of you guys are getting closer to 60 than 50. You know, Jesse Itzler is one of my virtual mentors. He talks about not how many years you have left, but how many Christmases you have left with your family. How many summers you have left. You start thinking about this as like, man, I might only have 15 good summers to go 100% balls to the walls and go live my life the way I want to. And maybe not even then, because you don't know what things are coming your way. Adversity strikes every man and woman. So it's not years, it's how many Christmases you have with your family. My dad even said that to his grandson over the break. It's like, I'm not sure how many more Christmases I have with my family. And I'm like, I hope more than a few. And my mom, as of right now, for the past week, is already planning this year's Christmas coming up. It's January. She's planning this year. And instead of giving a hard time because she's locked in and focused on this, because I think she's just more aware, right? My family, they're almost, my parents are almost 70 years old. And I guess they're just more cognitive. Hey, look, let's go be active. Let's don't sit at home for Christmas. Let's go do something. Let's go do a trip. It's what we used to do always as a family. We didn't do it this past year, so let's go do that. Guys, you got to understand it's like nobody's promised anything. So why not stop repeating the same cycles? Take ownership. Quit blaming the person you work with. Quit blaming your spouse. Quit blaming your students. Quit blaming the economy. Take ownership because now you can solve it. And if you're on this call, you've got people that love you and care enough about you to give you an opportunity to get better. Okay. You don't get better unless one, you recognize where you have the opportunity to get better, and two, you ask for the freaking help. I told you guys I made a lot of emotional decisions in my business, and a lot of times, most of the times, they're wrong. And when you make an emotional decisions, a lot of times you have to apologize after the fact. Has anybody ever told a student to get the fuck out of your business before? Because I have, out loud in the middle of a class. Okay, anybody ever done this one before? And I literally said it just like that. Now, I was not wrong, but I had 28 other kids on the floor that now all the parents are like, what just happened? Okay. So I've unfortunately done that probably too many times. John, you'd probably be proud of me actually. But I know I could have handled some of those situations better. I wasn't qualified in my emotional state to be able to make those decisions. Now, doesn't mean I was wrong because some of those people needed their ass whooped and they needed to not be in my program. Okay. I could have been a better leader at the moment. And I could have tripled down because I have actually on how right I was. Anybody ever gone on social media afterwards and you're just so virtuous about how right you are about something? Man, I feel sorry for my 18-year-olds nowadays, right? I mean, I Jackson's got a girlfriend. All his girlfriends have been karate girls. Go figure. And I always know before he even tells me what's going on because he'll make some post on social media, and it's like, man, thank God we didn't have that when I was 18. Right? I don't know if you guys, some of you guys might have had a long-term girlfriend forever, but just imagine like every time you had some little tiff. Matter of fact, I know some friends right now that have been married for a long time, and every time husband and wife are having a little beef, I can tell by what they post online, and I can tell when they make up. Okay. Anybody have friends like that? You know exactly where they are emotionally with their relationships. So take ownership in your role and just go claim it and work on really being emotionally strong and understanding you're a leader and people are dependent upon you and you have to deliver a high level experience. And if you do that consistently enough, there will be a huge reward for you. Okay. All right. So here's what I want before next Tuesday's call for you guys. I want to know what role you feel like you're actually in your school. Are you just an instructor? Do you see yourself as more? Are you just a salesperson? Are you just an owner? Like, what role do you actually truly feel that you're at? All right. Not your title, but what role do you really feel that you're at? Next, what is your ownership of that role? Okay. And I want you to be as authentic with this as you can be. What is your ownership role? And what do I mean by that? If you own the school, yes, okay, you have the equity ownership. But what role do you really see yourself in? And then what do you really feel about how well you own that role? And that's a challenge. I got you, Lakin. And then the biggest thing is I want you to claim one thing you're going to draw a line in the sand in and say, hey, I'm improving on this every day this year. I'm not taking the foot off the gas. I'm no longer going to have this as an issue or a challenge or a problem. Whether it's your communication, whether it's your sales funnel, whether it's teaching classes, class format, your energy, your fitness, your mental state. I don't care where it's at because everyone's here on a different journey with self-improvement. But you are a leader. Whether you're the assistant instructor, you're the owner, you're a leader. People depend upon you every single day. And the only way any of us do big things together is we all have to just grow together. We have to get better. We need accountability. So, what role do you really see yourself in? Not your title. What role do you see yourself in? What is your ownership level of that role? How well do you own that role? I mean, I've said this out loud. I think, Josh, when you were in the school in Vegas here with me, I said, listen, I'm the best damn teacher to ever walk on planet Earth teaching martial arts. Ain't nobody better than me. Now, Josh is pretty good, but he ain't Aaron Hensley. Now, that's not an ego play to Josh, right? It's not I'm not doing it as a challenge. It's a role that I've owned in my head. It's also a pressure I put on myself that when I step on the floor, God created me as a vessel to go teach, not just martial arts. I'm not saying that to challenge Josh, because actually he's pretty freaking awesome. All right. Like he walked in and did that script off the bat. I'm like, man, this is like I need to be recording this. Okay. And then John went, I think John went next. I stood, or Tara, or somebody went next. I stood next to Tara, right? Walked her through a little bit. Like I have this idea and mindset and ownership level in my head of where I'm at. All right. So when I say how well do you own it, I want to know really what you really feel. What are you telling yourself every single day up here? Okay. And then what's that thing that you're saying, hey, no more line in the sand, 2026, it's not, this is my best year ever bullshit. None of that bullshit, guys. Okay. Reality is, all right, this year I'm no longer doing this, and this is what I'm working towards every single day because I want to put accountability structure and I want to be that for you. All right, that being said, I got some time for Q&A, and I appreciate you guys' time and attention today. Let's go. Happy New Year, Josh. How you doing, man? Your hair looks great, as usual.
Doing fantastic. I'm excited. I think I nerd out like you. I love Mondays. I love the first every month. I love the
I
first
love
every
it.
it's just another day. But we had our all staff meeting today, our first one. Just that's why I was a few minutes late, but dude, no complaints, man. Took some good notes. I'm instructor training coming up Thursday, and I'm definitely gonna add in some of the stuff we covered the day just for them clarity. I'm very similar. You talk about like Walmart, Target, or Neiman Marcus, whatever you three levels. From I don't I talk about rec baseball, all star baseball, and travel baseball. That's kind of how I say it. I don't want
Right.
to be rec. I want to be like all star baseball. But I don't want to be travel because that's such a small client that will
Right.
get push everyone else out. So I want to be like an all star rec team. So we're good quality, but so our staff they have expectations of where they should land. But I need to remind them of this because it's so easy for my high level competitors to want to be Neiman Marcus or the travel team, right? Or for a new coach just to want to give everyone a stripe and be Walmart. So you have to find that kind of constant communication with your staff on where you should land. So good
I,
stuff.
I like, and again, the analogy I understand with the baseball, I, you know, I think you and I talked about like the competition, right? You have to have those all-star in your school for people to aspire to be, even though we know it's a small level. In your program, I use the Walmart, Target, and whether you use Nordstrom as the next level, whichever, but I like to be in that middle ground, that Target, right? So like you do get the masses, but not like you're going, the low volume or
And you're not selling your soul or being a
right.
cop out or a McDojo. Yep.
But what I like to do is I like to convince myself that we're giving, Louis Vuitton service at Target prices, right? And so like for whatever analogy you want to put with that, my thing about this is you said something really key there is a lot of times it's reminding us because when we're not present a lot of times mentally and you let people go do their thing, we as owners assume that our staff knows things that we've taught them, they know, but we just get off course. We need to be reminded over and over again. Just like we do with our students. Hey, this is a black belt school. Your goal is black belt. We're constantly reminding them about a mission and a goal. And as a team member, we need to be reminded. If I work for you, Josh, I need to be reminded pretty much daily.
And
What does your bracelet say? You said you made for your staff on your bracelets.
um, we will change. What's it? I'm about to change your life. Yeah.
See,
I'm
I
about to
love
change
that.
your life. Every class they teach, I'm about to change your life. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then going
That's
back,
a reminder. I love that. I need to get some stuff made like that just for my team members of like, hey, like look at this all the time, right?
we
Oh,
call them thought interrupters. You see them, or set your thinking, reminds you. But
I
back
love
to the
that.
All Star, I don't. If I coached, I have coached a travel baseball team. I wouldn't coach them any different than the All Stars. I still
Right.
want my All Stars to be the very best. I just know where my expectations lie. They're not going to throw an 80-mile-per-hour fastball. They're going to throw a 70 mile. Like so, I don't change how I teach. I just understand my expectation levels, which makes a big difference. You know.
I like that a lot. I like that the interrupter, the thought interrupter, those are important. When you look at successful businesses, they have reminders all through their business, not for their just their customers, but also for their team. The other thing is one other thing, guys, listen, if I'm going to fast forward to a new universe, I'm going to put myself into Crystal's school. All right. So I went from the West Coast to the East Coast, boom. And a student's walking in and I'm about to teach this kid for the first time. If I see the kid and I look at him, maybe he's a little overweight, maybe he's a little awkward or whatever. And if I mentally say, well, that kid's going to be a struggle or that kid's not going to be any good. Right. And that's the expectation I put in my mind. More than likely, you get the reality you're creating up here. And so
Yeah.
when I look at like we're in the playoff season for football right now. The four college teams that are playing this weekend, of the four, two have never won a title. The other two, one of them won the title in 2001. I was in school at that location in that school when we won, and the other school, Ole Miss, was 1960. So the issue is these other two schools, they don't even have an expectation of being a winning platform. Now, why does that matter? As an instructor, someone walks in, no matter what level you put yourself in your business model, when you see the kid, your mental state expectation is should not be about a physical skill or talent, but you should have a standard of how well you're going to deliver an experience. Um, Josh, your daughter is going to UGA, is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. That university has a standard of what they expect from every new enrollment coming into that school. They probably have it documented. And they probably take you through that when you go through the vetting process of if they're going to accept enrollment or not. And so, we don't sign up every single student because we have an expectation of the kind of customer we want, and we have a vetting process, and then we have an expectation of the experience we're going to deliver. And change the word expectation to the word standard, and it's really what you want. So if you're consistent with the standard, you're going to protect yourself from being all the time kind of curious about what kind of business you actually have, right? Just think about this. I love sports. And Josh, I know a lot of your program is built around kind of sports analogies. Mike Tyson, when I was a kid watching Mike Tyson, anybody watch Mike Tyson? A lot of you guys are similar in age. There was an expectation of what the fight was going to go until he had his first loss. Like there was going to be a knockout. There's going to be some heavy hitting. You looked for it. There was an expectation. When Conor McGregor was in his heyday, there was a standard of what you were going to get,
Yeah.
right? You want that when people walk into your class experience, you want there to be a standard of what the experience is going to be every single time. You don't want it to be kind of, well, I'm not sure today. That is how you're going to have ultimate failure in your program. A soft little plug. February 27th, 28th, and March 1st in Atlanta, Georgia is going to be our first live event. It's going to be hosted at one of Josh's locations. Also, at the end of the year in Vegas, December 18th through 20th, we're going to have a student, instructor, owner, 3-day massive summit. Okay, we're going to have stuff for your kids, for students and classes and workshops, for school owners, business type stuff, and then also for staff. So it's going to be 3 days, December 18th, 19th, and 20th. So go ahead and put that on your calendar. Otherwise, any questions, guys? Just gave you a lot of stuff right there.
Um, how do you create an experience? Sorry, how do you create an experience each class?
That's a great question. All right, so here's the simple way. And when you take your class structure, not your curriculum, not your class plan, your structure. What is a structure? How do you start and format the class all the way through? So our very first part of class, line them up. people call it a warm up. We call it just start. All right. Because I think kids already warm up. That to how you flow into a teaching. So we follow a format called teacher, trainer, coach. What are you teaching? What do you give them training time on? Coaching was be more like your mat chat, right? And then we have we call it the surge. It's like our high end finish. And then we do
Mhm.
our bow out announcements, promotions, et cetera, things like that. That's a format. So it makes it where the experience, the key is like you want to have a crescendo, right? You kind of want to build up a certain pace and then you want to leave them wanting more. You want them to want to see the next episode of Stranger Things and not like, I'm glad the series is over. You want them pissed off that it's ending because they want to see more. That's a format, a structure. That's how you create an experience. But if you don't have a format and you're just winging the class, the experience is inconsistent. It's based on your energy. It's based on how you feel. And feelings lie to you all the time. Okay. So,
And
yeah, go ahead, Josh.
no, you're good. No, I mean, so other ways are like, I love it. And I love that surge. I'm going to start using that word at the end. But gamification, clarify the win, celebrate the victory, spotlights. In other sports, they make a 3-pointer, they score a touchdown, they have that moment where they walk off the mat feeling amazing. We intentionally create different drills where we're looking for X amount of spotlights. We don't spotlight too many kids per class because it becomes not as sincere. We do 2 or 3, so they walk away having that win. And every time we do that, we stop the class. Everyone sits down. Mom, get out your phone, record this kick. You got to get this. The second that kid walks off the floor, the mom goes, that kick was amazing. So that's another way to create an experience. But Aaron's curriculum, is a format. We always have some kind of gamification that's around a real technique that is a clear win, a clear loss, a clear high moment in class. So I think those things, little nuggets you can throw into every
To
class.
confirm, Josh, let me ask you this to confirm. So you teach a skill, right, in your class format,
Yeah.
and then you have a gamification of that skill,
Yeah.
and that's always right.
Every single class and I have when we lesson plan, I have a checklist at the bottom. When are we spotlighting? When are we gamifying? When are we getting it? When are we redlining them? Because a lot of coaches don't redline the kids. They
Yep.
talk too much. They don't get enough reps. And so when we create a lesson plan to me, we reverse engineer all those steps have to be in there. Yeah.
So Kaya, listen to what he just said. He has a format, a structure, a flow, whatever word you want to put to it. So those things are built in every class. So they're not just guessing and they're going to do it. They know it's happening. That's an experience. Just like if you go take a ride at a theme park, if you get on a roller coaster and you don't know where it's going, and the people that are running the ride don't know where it's going, that's how people get hurt. All right. It's consistent. It's the same, even though the technique might change, it's a flow that's consistent. Then what you're able to do once you have a consistent flow is you can do those things he just talked about, which is highlight and spotlight. Highlight is you're running class, okay? And highlight is you can say, Johnny, that's what I'm talking about. That's the technique, right? That's how we're gonna do a front kick.
It's quick. Boom. Yep.
Spotlight is everyone 2 claps, take a knee. Johnny, jump up real quick. Everybody look at Johnny. Johnny does the kick. Now it's like the spotlight's on him. All eyes on him, right? Mom, get the camera out, like Josh was talking about. Those things are the technical aspect of how you do some of these things, but they're in a flow, like how your class starts, what you're teaching, not the technical stuff. You just need literally a format. That format creates a consistent experience.
I'll give you one more example. Aaron talked about praise, correct praise. If I'm counting out reps, 1, 2, or go, 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 I do not stop and praise, correct praise a kid. That slows my momentum of class. I do praise, correct praise when they have individual practice. All right, get your bag. We have a 2-minute round. Let's go. We're playing this song. Then I can stop and give a kid a praise, correct praise because I can have more time. I'm not taking away from the people. We do that. We do it intentionally in the right flow so we don't slow down the class or affect the experience. Same
Yep,
stuff.
absolutely. Yes.
Does that help at all, Kaya? Is that making sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Also, too, guys, when you work on your class formats, send them to me. Let's look at them, right? I think, and sometimes you guys, I think, are just trying to put too much stuff in a class.
Amen. And I think the best coaches plan the best. If you look at the high level coaches, they plan the best. They don't plan they don't pack the most in the class. They spend the most time planning, preparing, executing, getting rid of, whatever's needed. So I think planning and class planning, don't think because you have 20 years experience, I go to the floor and just wing it. We all can do that, but that's not your best product.
It's
I
definitely
still
not. Yes.
every
Correct.
Monday I send my coaches a class plan and they can use their own, they can use mine, but they know they have to plan. If they don't, they use my plan because I think it's that important.
Professionals prepare in their off time.
Yep.
So that way when they show up, they can execute.
100%.
Amateurs show up, prepare, and that's why they're always playing from behind and feel stressed and pressured.
That's awesome. That's good.
Tom Brady helped me with that one, my boy. All right, guys. Hey, owners.
Has worksheets. We have worksheets. We can give you
Yes.
worksheets on how to class plan, and they're not per our style. They're just generic worksheets that teach you good flows. So if you want stuff, just hit up Aaron. He'll get that stuff to you.
Yeah, I can drop that into the learn format. So guys, learn.rossmore.com. That's where if you're not in there, hit me up. Let me make sure you're in there. That's where I'm posting a lot of the worksheets, graphics, text. Your 30 days of posting for January, if you want to take the ones I'm posting, they're in there. If you notice I'm posting, if you should follow my martial arts school and also my personal platform. Just copy what I'm doing. Like, who cares? But Thursday owners, biggest challenge you're facing, whatever it is, Thursday, that's a call for you guys. Otherwise, the rest of you guys will see you next Tuesday. What role do you see yourself in your business? What's your level of ownership of that? And what's the biggest thing you're going to make sure you draw a line in the sand and no more? You are improving it today, immediately for this year. All right, guys, I'll see y'all later. Peace.